Reflection is a central part of any research process, but it holds special significance in interdisciplinary work. In this context, reflection is a self-conscious activity, a deliberate process of looking inward to examine why certain choices were made throughout the project and how those choices shaped the final outcome. As Szostak emphasizes, this isn't just an academic ritual. It's an opportunity to explain the decisions behind your research design, identify what worked, what didn't, and why. Interdisciplinarians, in particular, must be able to enter the specialized scholarly discourse of the disciplines they've drawn from, and do so in a way that is both interesting and persuasive. This includes being prepared to explain or defend aspects of the work that may challenge disciplinary norms or raise concerns among disciplinary audiences. While reflection should ideally happen throughout the research process, it's essential at the end. It helps us finalize our understanding by making sense of not only the results, but the path we took to get there. There are 4 key areas we're asked to reflect on. 1. What has actually been learned, both in terms of content and in terms of the process. 2. Steps that were omitted or compressed, and the reasons behind those adjustments. 3. Our own biases, both conscious and unconscious, and how they may have influenced the outcome. And 4. Our limited understanding of the relevant disciplines, theories, and methods, because no one is an expert in every field, and acknowledging this strengthens the integrity of the work. Through this kind of honest reflection, we not only improve the quality of our final product, we also grow as interdisciplinary thinkers. At this stage, we pause to reflect on what has actually been learned, both in terms of content and process. This means asking, what did we learn about the topic itself, and what did we learn about the way we approached it? On the content side, we consider whether our interdisciplinary integration led to a richer, deeper, or more nuanced understanding of the problem. As Boyksman-Silla and colleagues put it, we should ask, was it worth the effort? If your final understanding reflects the successful integration of disciplinary insights in a meaningful way, the answer is likely yes. On the process side, reflection involves thinking about how the project was structured, how it progressed, and what went well or poorly along the way. Were there any challenges with organizing the work or collaborating across disciplines? What role did the interdisciplinary process itself play in shaping the outcome? It's also important to think about how knowledge was shared throughout the project, both disciplinary and interdisciplinary. How did those exchanges influence the direction of your work? Were there key moments when a disciplinary insight changed how you saw the problem? What conditions helped create those aha moments, and how can we design future research to encourage them? By reflecting on what you learned and how you learned it, you build not only a better final product, but also a better understanding of how to approach complex problems in the future. Let's be honest, most interdisciplinary projects don't follow every step in the research process exactly as outlined in the book. And that's okay. What matters is that we recognize and reflect on those deviations thoughtfully. There are many reasons why steps might be omitted or compressed. Maybe you weren't able to fully complete a step due to time constraints or limited resources. Maybe you found it more efficient to combine steps, like merging your literature review with the identification of disciplinary perspectives. Or perhaps you integrated steps out of sequence because of how your project evolved. Whatever the case, it's essential to acknowledge and explain these choices. Did you skip a step entirely? Restructure the process? Compress 2 or more steps into one? If so, reflect on why you did it, and more importantly, describe how these changes might have impacted your final product. For example, skipping step 5 Developing adequacy in a discipline might mean you overlooked important theories or methods, or compressing steps 8 and 9 could lead to a weaker integration if you didn't fully resolve conflicts between insights. By explicitly stating where and why the process diverged from the book's structure and evaluating the cumulative effect of those choices, you show both intellectual honesty and methodological awareness, and that strengthens the credibility of your work. Every researcher brings biases to the table, and this is especially true in interdisciplinary work, where personal experience often influences how we frame the problem, which disciplines we rely on, and how we interpret their insights. A key principle of interdisciplinary research is the recognition that no method is flawless and no researcher is entirely objective. If we accept that, then we also have to accept that our conclusions may be shaped, at least in part, by our own biases. Szostak highlights the importance of actively reflecting on those biases. This isn't about eliminating perspective or pretending we're neutral. It's about metacognition, thinking about how we think, and making sure we're being fair, balanced, and evidence-based. Here are a few questions to guide your reflection. Why was I drawn to this problem in the first place? Did I choose certain expert perspectives because they aligned with what I already believed? Was I more comfortable using insights from familiar disciplines simply because I knew them better? These questions help us uncover hidden influences on our work. For example, a student writing about leadership might unintentionally favor certain traits in their ideal manager that reflect personal preferences rather than evidence from multiple disciplines. The point here isn't to discredit your work, it's to strengthen it. Recognizing your biases helps you build a more honest and defensible final product, and it also makes you a stronger thinker overall in research and in life. So take the time to step back, interrogate your own assumptions, and make sure they aren't steering your research in a narrow direction. That's how we grow as interdisciplinary scholars. None of us are experts in every discipline we draw from. One of the hallmarks of strong interdisciplinary research is being honest about the limits of your own disciplinary knowledge. As Boyksman-Silla points out, recognizing those limits is not a weakness. It's a sign of academic maturity and a strength that enhances the credibility of your work. Even if you've achieved adequacy in understanding key disciplinary insights, theories, and methods, you're unlikely to have a practitioner-level grasp of all of them. That's especially true when working across multiple fields. Interdisciplinary research requires breadth, but we should never pretend that this breadth replaces the depth of a disciplinary expert. Szostak urges us to reflect on how our limited understanding might have shaped our choices. For example, did we overestimate the value of a theory simply because it was easier to understand? Did we overlook the significance of a method because it came from a less familiar field? Did we undervalue or misapply a concept because we lacked full context? It's also important to reflect on how well the disciplines intertwine, how their perspectives fit together or clash. Your final product may reflect tensions or gaps between fields, and acknowledging those areas of uncertainty shows scholarly integrity. In your conclusion, follow the lead of professional researchers. Be upfront about the limitations of your understanding. Point out any areas where your work might have underestimated or overestimated particular insights. This doesn't undermine your results. It reinforces that your integration was thoughtful and self-aware. At its core, interdisciplinary work is about the deliberate intertwining of disciplinary perspectives. That means evaluating contributions critically, acknowledging their limitations, and being transparent about how your own understanding evolved and where it may still fall short.